The House Insurance Committee will come to order. Clerk, will you please take attendance?
Chair Harris.
Here.
Representatives Tisdale.
Here.
Lightner.
Here.
Posthumous.
Here.
Aragona.
Here.
Nyer.
Here.
Schutte.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Tate.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Whitsett. Mr. Chair, you have 10 members present, a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 25th meeting? Rep. Schutte makes that motion. Seeing no objection, the minutes are approved. All right, we have a presentation on our continued discussion on fraud in the insurance industry. So we'll be continuing that discussion today, and we'll be taking up House Bills 4713 through 4719 for testimony. And we're going to start today's hearing with Craig Sepich from the National Insurance Crime Bureau, also known as NICB. And Craig is joining us via Zoom. Hi, Craig. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon.
Good. You can begin whenever you're ready.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Chair. So good afternoon. My name is Craig Sepich, Director of Strategy, Policy, and Government Affairs with the National Insurance Crime Bureau. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to discuss our support of House Bills 4713 through 4719, which establish provisions to combat insurance fraud. So NICB is a national century-old nonprofit organization, which is supported by approximately 1,200 of our property and casualty insurance companies, as well as other key organizations. Working hand in hand with our member companies and Michigan law enforcement, we help to detect, prevent, and deter insurance crime. Insurance fraud is not a victimless crime, and a joint industry study estimated that the total cost of insurance fraud in the United States, excluding health and life, to be $306 billion per year. And separately, the FBI estimates that over a 10-year period, insurance fraud cost the average U.S. family between $4,000 and $7,000 in increased premiums. Consumers throughout the country, including those in Michigan, are directly impacted by the harm created by fraudsters committing these crimes. To combat insurance fraud, most states, including Michigan, have established fraud units to investigate suspected fraud. All state fraud units are staffed with highly skilled professional personnel eager to protect consumers and fight insurance fraud. Providing these personnel with the tools and resources needed to investigate and prosecute insurance fraud is vital to help protect the public and combat fraud. Among other key reforms, the bill package establishes the mandatory reporting of suspected insurance fraud, putting Michigan in line with 45 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico. Mandatory insurance fraud reporting is the cornerstone of a united effort of insurers, law enforcement, and the public to proactively identify and combat insurance crime. NICB sees firsthand the value of insurance fraud reporting in identifying complex fraud rings, providing actionable intelligence to law enforcement partners, and ultimately bringing criminals to justice. In short, fraud reporting protects consumers and pushes back against a cost driver of insurance. Without it, our collective visibility over fraudsters is greatly diminished. The bill package enhances Michigan's fraud immunity statute to protect and encourage information sharing about suspected insurance fraud, and it also adds insurance fraud to the state's racketeering statute, thus enhancing the ability for law enforcement to investigate and prosecute sophisticated organized insurance crime rings. And further, it establishes tiered criminal and civil penalties. These and other reforms within this package are vital to Michigan's fight against fraudsters. And accordingly, NICB strongly encourages you to support House Bill 4713 through 4719, which will provide the tools and resources necessary to help combat insurance fraud and protect Michiganders. Thank you for scheduling this hearing and considering our views, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for that, and you've been a huge partner. I know not only for this committee, but NICB has a long reputation for my law enforcement career as well. So thank you for weighing in on this and giving your input, and you've helped guide this through the process, so we appreciate you for that.
No,
With that,
my pleasure.
yeah, any questions for Craig on NICB? No? All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your attendance.
Thank you.
All right. Next up on our agenda is testimony on House Bills 4713 through 4719. We had heard this prior from DIFs, and so now we're going to hear from our bill sponsors. So with that, the committee will go at ease at the call of the chair.
All right. We'll call the meeting back to order. We'll just run right down the list, I guess. Representative Robinson, go ahead.
Yeah, my bill is House Bill 4713, and this expands billing insurance fraud to include fraud of auto fraud under PIP. So I think this string of bills is going to make a huge impact, and I'm very excited to introduce this bill. So thank you for your consideration.
All right. Mr. Harris.
Mr. Chair, thank you, sir, for entertaining us today.
Wasn't my idea, but
I had heard that. I know. I saw the reluctance when you took the gavel. But nevertheless, I appreciate you and all the committee members for hearing us today. Thank you for the opportunity. We're talking about House Bills 4713 through 4719, which is a bipartisan package, in case you weren't aware, Mr. Chair, aimed at cracking down on insurance fraud in the state of Michigan. You just heard from NICB. Craig's been a huge partner in this, as well as DIFS, and we're talking about the scope of this problem and why it matters. So I want to echo the urgency from my perspective as a former police officer, a private investigator, and now as a lawmaker. Fraud in the insurance system isn't just a technical or financial issue. It's a crime that affects real people, our people, and it drives up costs for our policyholders. It delays legitimate claims, and it overwhelms insurers and law enforcement resources. Nationally, it's estimated, as you heard, that insurance fraud costs Americans over $306 billion a year. That's billion with a B. In my years on the force, I saw the impact of staged auto accidents, falsified injury claims, fraudulent fire claims, and complex fraud rings that are designed to exploit loopholes in our systems. This package of bills tackles those challenges head on. We strengthen penalties and create tiered consequences based on the scale and repetition of fraud. We're closing gaps in the information sharing between insurers, state regulators, and national anti-fraud organizations such as NICB. We're empowering DIFS, our Department of Insurance and Financial Services, to investigate and act more efficiently when fraud is confirmed. And ensuring Michigan law reflects the sophistication of today's fraud schemes, and we know that evolves every single day. There's always something new, and including recognizing it as a form of racketeering, which you're going to hear about here shortly. You'll be hearing more detail today from several of the other bill sponsors on this package, including Vice Chair Carter. You already heard from Rep. Robinson, and then our esteemed Rep. Lightner, each of whom played a key role in this package, and they'll speak to their specific bills. I, by chance, am a proud sponsor of House Bill 4714, which ensures the criminal sentencing guidelines align with these new tiered penalties in the package. This ensures our courts and our prosecutors have the tools they need to impose appropriate consequences and deter future fraud. Now, my bill goes along with Rep. McFall's bill. He's not here today, but we're talking about different tiered penalties for insurance fraud, and they range from a 1-year misdemeanor all the way up to a 20-year felony, depending on the frequency and amount of the fraudulent act. And I'm happy to go through those in detail if we have questions on this. I know we also have Representative Tate has a bill that requires insurers to report confirmed fraud cases to the DIFS director, who will then determine if further investigation is needed. And it does not require reporting of unsubstantiated cases and preserves the existing reporting obligations that are already in law. And this also allows for DIFS to request evidence from authorized agencies and to share the investigation results with insurers. Rep. Aragona also has a bill, 4719, thank you, sir. Clarifies that fines that are issued by the DIFS director for insurance fraud can be imposed in addition to other penalties or restitution, and not as a substitute. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chair Brenda Carter.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate this opportunity to speak and testify in support of House Bill 4713 through 4719, the insurance fraud package. Last term, I was proud to champion this comprehensive package aimed at reducing insurance fraud in Michigan. I want to thank Chair Harris for recognizing the importance of this issue and agreeing to hold a hearing on these bills. As a member of this committee knows, insurance fraud is not a victimless crime. It drives up premiums and places unfair burdens on Michigan consumers, especially those already struggling to make ends meet. As formerly mentioned, this is over $306 billion annually. That's money that could be going towards food, utilities, medical care, but instead it's lost to fraud. One of the most effective ways to reduce fraud is by improving communications between agencies and organizations that are already working to fight it. My bill, House Bill 4715, supports this by allowing reports and information to be shared with the National Insurance Crime Bureau, a highly respected organization that plays a key role in investigating and preventing fraud. They do outstanding work in this area, and I'm glad the committee will have a chance to hear directly from them. They have already heard from them today. Taken together, this package promotes fairness, improves accountability, and helps to build a more affordable and transparent insurance market for Michigan families and businesses. And now I'll turn it over to Representative Lightner.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, and thank you, members of the committee. As Chair Harris said, I have House Bill 4717, which would amend the penal code to include insurance fraud under the definition of racketeering. And racketeering is committing, attempting to commit, conspiring to commit, or aiding or abetting, soliciting, coercing, intimidating a person to commit an offense for financial gain by obtaining money, property, and other things of value. So mine's a pretty simple bill, page and a half. And it's a 20-year felony.
Yes. Thank you. So, Mr. Chair and committee members, this is about protecting our consumers, restoring trust in the system, and sending a clear message that insurance fraud in Michigan is something that we're not going to tolerate. So, with that, I think our group here would entertain any questions you may have. I also believe we have some members from the department in case there's any technical questions that we may need some help answering.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for your testimony. Let me get started. So, current law, there's a cap on the fines, and that's being expanded. The fines are growing in line with additional illegal activity, the degree to which those kinds of things. All of these fraud investigations really are initiated or started by the insurer, and it says in the House Fiscal Review I'm looking at, restitution remains mandatory, but is it limited to a one times, or restitution based on the actual dollars that the insurer loses? And then would there be a disincentive for them on smaller fraud claims not to jump into it because the cost to investigate is more than they would be recovering?
And I think that's part of the problem with current law, right, is we're finding that a lot of insurers are basically, for fiscal responsibility, they're settling. Yeah,
Yeah.
And they're moving on because it costs them so much to address this issue, right? So under McFall's bill, just as an example, an amount of less than $1,000 or fewer than 5 fraudulent claims would be a misdemeanor, up to a year of imprisonment, and up to $2,000 or 3 times the amount of the fraudulent claim.
Okay, very good.
And it increases, obviously, with each stiffer crime, but that 3 times the amount of the fraudulent claim is a consistent theme throughout those.
Okay, so some of the new juice is going to the insurers as well, not just into the fines, so to speak.
That's my understanding. Diffs, any?
Well, until you come to the point of racketeering, right? Because if you get convicted of racketeering in the criminal courts, it's a fine of up to $100,000 and or costs associated with that.
Okay. So there could be recovery on the part of the insurer above just the amount that they lost. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So
Coming from the insurance world,
I'm Joe Garsha. I'm the general counsel and the senior deputy director at DIFS. And I just want to clarify that the bill that's specific to civil fines within this package, all that really does is shore up the director's authority to impose civil penalties on this type of activity where traditionally criminal penalties run towards insurance fraudulent acts under the code. So that's in addition to the criminal penalties that could be imposed in this space. It gives the director additional tools to combat this activity short of engaging fully within the criminal process, if that makes sense.
Relative to other states, where does Michigan's fraud investigation recovery penalty system currently stand? High, low, middle?
I don't know that I've seen specific data comparing fraud bureau activity in criminal prosecutions and recoveries specifically. I think in general the operation of the fraud investigation unit in Michigan is largely on par with what is taking place nationally.
All right. Questions? I guess it was just me. All right, we'll go at ease.
All right, the committee will come back to order. My plan is to, the next time we meet, take this package up for a vote, so we'll revisit it yet again. So thank you for that. All right, so can I have a motion to excuse absent members? Oh yeah, I do have some cards. I apologize. I'm getting old and my eyesight is poor. All right, so wishing to speak? No, not wishing to speak. Supports the bill. Dyke Vancouvering from the Insurance Alliance of Michigan. Not wishing to speak, supports the bill. Ken Moran from Life Insurance Association of Michigan. Does not wish to speak, supports the bill. Frank Venuto from the American Council of Life Insurers. Not wishing to speak and is neutral on the bill. Christine Scheer, Michigan Association of Health Plans. Not wishing to speak and supports the bill. Jenny Geis from Department of Insurance and Financial Services. And not wishing to speak and is neutral. Herb, I can't read your last name. Thank you. Mr. Riles from Abate, neutral on the bill package. So thank you for that. And now can I have a motion to excuse absent members? And Vice Chair Carter makes that motion, and without objection, absent members are excused. And with no further business before the committee, we are adjourned.